Now it's the creator economy. I'm gonna write that down for our potentially the thumbnail for the episode. I always like to pull a quote from the guest, and so we'll put that in potentially. You might say something more prolific later, but I like the creator economy. Creator. Anyway, I want to get into a few of the other features at UpTik before we get into also some speculation and some just other discussion on TikTok and the e-commerce where it's going in general. But we talked about you mentioned the flywheel, and that's one of the services, right? Is the viral flywheel. Can you talk a little bit more about how that works from a user's perspective and how that relates to maybe some of the success stories that you've seen with Uptick?
Yeah, so that's another cool function that we have is before we get into the flywheel, it's called the social listening tool. And so again, when it's a brand, and this is why we are so helpful for cold start brands and also post. So we're helpful for cold start brands because you can go on our social listening tool and you can actually look at over 40,000 shops. So say Goli, for example, they're a really top performing brand. You can go on their
Hmm.
profile within Uptake. You can see all of their affiliates, everything their affiliates are like GMV, what they're driving. Plus, you can see all of the viral videos that that those affiliates are posting for Goli. So again, when we talk about that targeting and all of that, you can also target those specific ones by creating this flywheel. So you could create this flywheel, or call it creator brief flywheel, where you're giving inspiration to the creators. And so they don't have to start, it's again, it could be a black box for a creator to just go on there and hey, okay, I
Right,
received this product. What am I gonna do about what am I gonna post for? What am I gonna do?
right.
And this eliminates that entire the need for that because we can within Uptick you can create this creator brief, like a flywheel where you can attach the videos that your competitors are doing, or if you have your own viral videos, you can post your own videos as well. Send them to the creator,
Hmm,
send some interesting hooks to the creator, and even attach a PDF, right? If you have like a certain script you want them to follow, and again, it just helps with that. We don't want the creator to receive the sample and be lost. We want the creator to receive a sample and know exactly what to do next. And that's
right.
where Uptick comes in, and it helps with that post receiving of the sample. What do we do now? Here's here's our here's our creator brief.
Right, I would say a creative brief is what we do with our partners about, like, what are you looking for? Don't just let us go off on our own.
Mhm.
Give us some instruction on your brand guide, all this kind of stuff, what we can and can't say, what not to joke about and all those kind of things in the video. It's very interesting. Okay, so on that, and, this is something I always like to ask for real world experience. So I saw there's a couple case studies on there. You've seen accounts grow in GMV by several 100% in just a few months. Talk to me a little bit more about some real world experiences or some client stories, if let's say, and it could be business stories, it could be even creator stories that you've connected people with and something like that. But what stands out in particular from your time at Uptick? What is a real case study that you can share story that has stood out to you since you've been there?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that the thing is, TikTok Shop is hard, and if you're not, people give up on it, right? And so I think Uptick, what I've seen my time at Uptick is it allows people to not give up on it because you see results so quickly, right? I'm not saying you're gonna go from 0 to $1 million, but if you
Right.
could be a brand, and I've seen this firsthand, like you could be making, maybe a couple thousand a month, right? If you're not using Uptick, you come and you plug it in with our platform, and you could easily scale that up to 100K per month. Like that's I think the magic of Uptick and of our software is that it the attrition rate is a lot lower because you start seeing results, and so you're like, "Huh, this could actually be a channel that's worth exploring. I should invest, more into it," right? Because right now I think TikTok is still it's a discovery platform, and it's still some people are not so bought into it, especially brands who are coming from the Amazon space that are maybe performing really well on
Yeah.
Amazon. And so they're like, is it for me? Is it not for me? But once they plug it into Uptick,
Yeah.
once they see those results go from a couple thousand to 100K per month in GMV, then I think that's where it really uh, makes a difference.
It's very interesting as, again, someone that does sales on top of the podcast here. It's very interesting to try and sell TikTok to the current brands or even to people that we are just meeting for the first time, just pitching for the first time, aside from brands that we've signed already. We're doing their Amazon. It's very interesting to see the difference in responses that we get. Whereas more long, and maybe you have the same thought, and maybe you disagree, but more of the long-standing companies that have been doing this for a very long time, even that have been on in retail before they were on Amazon, are just like, I'm not getting on TikTok. What do I need to be on TikTok for? There's no one on TikTok's gonna buy my products. And to be fair, sometimes they might be right. I don't know how well some things like, washing and drying machines sell on TikTok, or things that you wouldn't normally expect. I think the better item for TikTok is this small, reusable, easy to ship items.
Mhm.
Um, but it's also a weird where some of these companies will say, "Oh, I need to be on TikTok. I don't care what it takes. I need to be on there." So it's weird, and that they're the same demographic of people that we're talking to. Will have the very, very different, different results. And I think it's very interesting to see that, and to see how far e-commerce has come, and also to, again, I want to get into speculating about where it's going, but it's really weird to see. And and I'm going on a rant here now on a tangent, but the thought of TikTok is very interesting. It went from Musically, right, which was like I don't even remember, like the covers of songs that people would just sing over,
Uh,
and then it was dancing videos and funny trends, and now you're buying stuff on it.
mhm.
So it's a bit of a weird transition.